So we can start the session. They are joining in 2-3 minutes. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead with the opening remarks, sir. Over to you, sir.
Very good, Himanshu. Thank you. Very good afternoon, friends. I'm Karthikeyan from Indian Green Building Council. It's my pleasure to be part of this World Green Building Week celebration. We celebrate this week as a World Green Building Week every year during September. The very objective of this week is to take the green building concept to common man. Involve all the stakeholders, discuss about what we can do further in this regard, and then celebrate the achievement. That is the very purpose of the World Green Building Week. I'm glad to see more and more people are joining. More than about 80 people. About 80 people are there on board. Welcome you all. We have an week-long program to celebrate this World Green Building Week. All the programs are very well, designed, and then we are looking at in terms of bringing in all the eminent speakers and then talk to you about the significance of the green buildings and net zero buildings. The first program starts today. So we have our chairman, National Chairman, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora. May I request our National Chairman, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, to give his opening remarks, please.
Thank you, Mr. Karthikeyan. Good afternoon to all of you. The Indian Green Building Council, which was formed in 2001, is a founding member of the World Green Building Council since 2004 and is glad to celebrate this year the World Green Building Week from the 11th to 15th of September. The theme for this year's Green Building Week is Building the Transition, which reflects our commitment to driving a positive shift towards sustainable practices. It is an invitation for all of us to contribute to accelerating the transition towards a sustainable built environment. Many of us are aware that the construction industry or the built environment is responsible for around 38% of the carbon emissions. Our Prime Minister has committed that India will reach carbon neutrality by 2070. I don't think we have the luxury of the next 47 years to wait for achieving carbon neutrality. We have to do something now. Climate change is at our doorstep, and we are seeing all kinds of climatic conditions. All of us are witness to this in every city that we live in, and therefore we have to team up together to do something from now onwards. Aryabhatta, born in Telangana in Bihar, was born in 476 BC, and he discovered the digit 0, or what we call in Hindi, Shunya. We are now in the 23rd year of the 21st century, and we have moved from 0 in the 5th century, destroyed and plundered Mother Earth. He kept on extracting from the womb of our own Mother Earth. And now that we realize that she is going to die, we are moving towards net zero and trying to see how we can move towards sustainable lifestyles. It's really sad to see that over the years, how humanity has, the only species on Earth out of millions, has plundered everything on this Earth. And now we are coming around full circle. We have lost something in between to now see how we can give back to Mother Earth. It's really amazing how we have all behaved. And now we look at how we can save things, how we can reuse things, and all these mantras which we hear every day. In fact, if you see the whole G20 focus, it was on one Earth, one family, one future. Because suddenly global warming has connected all of us. We are now part of the 70 green building councils of the world. You'll be pleased to know we are the second largest green building council in the world. If you look at our green footprint, we are at 1,030 crore square feet. And by far, we are the largest in India. So we have a cause to celebrate 1,030 crore square feet. But trust me, we have not even touched the nerve of even 2% of the construction industry in India. There's a long way to go. Of course, I'm pleased to tell you when we started the green building movement in 2001, the building that we built, which is our headquarters, where we house more than 100 staff, 100 of our partners. And that building costed us at that time 18% more over a conventional building. Today, we talk of profitable sustainability. So if you take two similar buildings together, exactly the same, this guy is certified by IGBC. A residential building will cost you less than the building not certified by 2 to 3%. And a commercial building will be maybe 2 to 5% higher. But then your OPEX, your operating cost comes down by 30, 40, 50%. I was at the Goa Mopa airport where the Prime Minister came for the inauguration. 64% energy saving in the airport. Our own headquarters, IGBC, I think you're in Hyderabad today, Karthikeyan.
Yeah, very much, sir.
Our own headquarters is energy positive. It produces more energy than it can consume. It gives to the grid. We don't get any money from the grid, but doesn't matter. At least our energy bill is zero. So certainly, ladies and gentlemen, it makes business sense to go green. Today, we are talking of profitable sustainability, financially prudent sustainability. So my request to each one of you is we have to see how we can work together to make sure that anything in the built environment is certified as green. We are very lucky that we have the largest ratings in the world today. We rate even a bus station, a bus shelter, a metro rail station, a railway station. All the 100% metro rail stations are certified by IGBC. 42 out of 60 divisions of railway are all certified by IGBC of the Indian Railways. You name it. The Kedarnath Temple Complex, the Tumkur helicopter factory. I'm talking of the projects that the Prime Minister has inaugurated over the last 3 months. The Line 7 and 2A of Bombay Metro Rail, the Goa Mopa Airport, the new Parliament, 100% IGBC certified. So ladies and gentlemen, let's work together. Let's make sure that the carbon emissions that we emit, 38%, are reduced, are mitigated. At least we reach carbon neutrality, and all our buildings, if not net zero, energy, water, waste, and carbon are at least certified by IGBC. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your passionate opening remarks. We are fortunate to have you as chairman, and then you always talk about green and then, spreading the message of green to all. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your opening remarks. Friends, I have a very small presentation to talk about our plans and then the World Green Building Week, the overall idea about this. Let me share the screen for you. Yeah. So this presentation is focusing on what is that we are going to do as part of this World Green Building Week. Friends, before getting into the presentation, a very small introduction about our center, the CII Green Business Center. This center is the first green building in the country. In fact, we started the green building movement from here, and this is the greenest building at some point in time. This is the first platinum rated building in the country. And today it has also become a net zero building. This is the CII IGBC headquarters. So my first request to you all is, when you get an opportunity to visit Hyderabad, you also please visit this building. This has become more of an tourist spot nowadays. We get thousands of visitors every year. They come here, look at the green features of the building, and then go back in terms of how they can replicate those features in their own buildings and built environment. So IGBC, this was formed by CII in the year 2001. Our vision is to enable sustainable built environment for all, and also to make India to become one of the global leaders in sustainable built environment by the year 2025. So these are the visions given by our leaders like Dr. Jain, Mr. V. Suresh, Mr. Parasuraman, and we have been working towards in terms of achieving this vision. To a large extent, we have also succeeded in this process. What we have started in the year 2001 with only about, say, 20,000 square feet, the Green Business Center. Today, it has taken various shapes and sizes. Variety of buildings, they started adopting the green building concepts. Say it is a commercial building or residential building, or even government office buildings, or even infrastructure projects like airports, metros, railway stations, education institutions. All these buildings, they started adopting the green building concepts. As on date, we have more than about, say, 11,000 plus green building projects adopting the green concepts in the country, which is about, say, 10.28 billion square feet of the green building footprint, which is supposed to be the second largest footprint in the world. Having said this, all these are facilitated by variety of rating system. We believe in this. Each building is unique by itself. What is applicable in case of, let us say, a commercial building, we may not be apply the same thing in case of a residential building. So for each of the building typology, with the support of all the stakeholders, people like you, we have come out with a specific rating tool which will enable implementation of the green concepts in those building typologies. So IGBC is the only council in the world which has got variety of rating systems for various typologies of the building. If you look at, almost all typologies are covered in this case. So from green, we started going one step further in terms of moving towards net zero. Our Prime Minister has committed that India will achieve net zero by 2070. If India has to achieve net zero by 2070, obviously every state has to achieve net zero, every sector in the country has to achieve net zero. The building sector also should contribute to achieving net zero in the country. So to demonstrate that, we started the net zero mission. More than about 350 organizations, they committed that they will work on net zero. And to demonstrate, we converted our own building as a net zero energy building. Today, it's a net zero energy building. So from IGBC point of view, what we always do is we first demonstrate and then only go to the industry saying that, yes, this is something is technically feasible and also economically viable. So we are working towards in terms of facilitating the country to embark on the net zero journey. So IGBC is also part of the World Green Building Council. In fact, we founded the World Green Building Council. From India point of view, we are the only council part of the World GBC. And we speak about the India's achievement in the World Forum. Whatever we have been doing, friends, as part of the green building initiatives, or the net zero initiatives in the country, all those informations we share with the members in the World Green Building Council. It gives us an opportunity to demonstrate India's leadership in terms of the world, in terms of the green building. So coming back to the World Green Building celebrations, our chairman, Mr. Gurmeet Singh, and the vice chair, Mr. Tyagarajan, with their support, we are celebrating this. So we would request you to be part of the journey towards greener and healthier India. Several initiatives have been taken in the past. As I said, very objective of the World Green Building Council, the World Green Building Week celebration is to take it to the common man. So the variety of initiatives have been taken up in terms of passing on the green message to the common man. I will just highlight some of the initiatives taken in the past. We are also planning this. So for an example, the walkathon, inviting citizens as green ambassadors. So we have conducted several walkathons in the past for reaching out to the common man with a green message. Similarly, we go to the schools. This is, in terms of inculcating the green behavior, basically the message of green to the students. So variety of competitions have been conducted. For an example, sketching campaign has been done. Awareness programs have been conducted to encourage the students to embark on the green concepts. To the common man, we are also taking the message related to utilizing the public transport, but to basically encourage them to adopt the green lifestyle. And also, especially at the organization level, we encourage the carpooling so that the emissions on account of the transportation has been reduced. And even at the organization level, we have conducted various initiatives. For an example, sapling of plantations. This has been done extensively in various institutions, including the schools, colleges, the organization level. The large sapling programs like Aritaharam. Aritaharam is one of the largest plantation initiative from the state of Telangana. We participate in this in a big way, so that more and more people join hands in terms of the green initiatives. Even we encourage the organizations to form a sustainability team within the organization so that they can work on all these initiatives. We have something like a heritage walk, because the heritage building is one area where many green concepts have been already implemented in our country. The green concept is not new to us. In fact, we are finding a different version of this. If you look at many of the heritage buildings, you will find all those green concepts. So we take people to the heritage walk so that they understand this. And also the mission to various green buildings also have been taken. Signature campaigns have been conducted so that people commit for practicing green. So one of the campaign this year also we are coming out with, this is something like a green promise. We would also request you to come out with a promise statement. When I make a promise in a public and also put it in a social media, 99% of the time I will stick to the promise. Say for an example, you can come out with a promise like this. This is a template we are going to share with you all. We would request you to think about the green, and we would request you to come out with a promise statement. This statement along with your photograph. So what we are going to do is, you will become a green ambassador, and we will use these statements in the social media as part of IGBC initiative. So you will become a green ambassador of IGBC with a statement. See, the statement can be very simple. We leave it to your imagination what you want to do. For an example, you can talk about, say, hereafter my air conditioner will operate only at about, say, 24 degrees centigrade and above. Or you can say, I will reduce energy consumption in my house. Or I am not going to use, let us say, the plastics anymore. So it can be anything related to green. Come out with a statement and with your photograph so that we can use this in a social media as you as a green ambassador. The next aspect is, yes, this is the kind of week-long program. We have about, more than about 50 programs, in fact, which has been conducted at the national level as well as at various chapter levels. This is the schedule for the next 1 week. Today we have the inaugural program. We have an eminent panelist talking about the green initiatives. I will come to that panel a little later. And tomorrow, on daily basis, we have a program. Tomorrow, we have a program on net zero carbon. On 13th, we have a program which talks about the case studies of green buildings. On 14th, we have an exclusive program on net zero energy. On 15th, we have waste management. Very similarly, variety of programs have been planned at the chapter levels also. This is the schedule. I don't want to get into the details. All these program details will be available in our website as well. So people who are interested in participating in this program can always join the sessions and then participate. The last point I would like to mention as part of this Green Building Week celebration is the Green Building Congress. I would request you to block your dates. The dates are November 23rd to 25th. This is the flagship event of the Indian Green Building Council, the Green Building Congress. This year, the theme is Advancing Net Zero Through Decarbonization. It is going to happen in Chennai. We have a 3-day conference as well as a large exhibition happening side by side. So I would request you to block the dates and then participate in the Green Building Conference. This conference is unique. You have more than about 100 speakers, more than 3,000 delegates, variety of exhibitors, product manufacturers coming and exhibiting their products and technologies, and also the states and central governments participating in this conference. Please don't miss this opportunity. Block your dates and then participate here. So we look forward to your participation and wish you all the very best for this week-long green building celebration, World Green Building celebration. Thank you very much. We will get on to today's program. As I said today, before getting into the panel discussion, we have a video message from the World Green Building Council. Ms. Joy has given a message, Head of Asia Pacific Program. So may I request Himanshu to run the video message?
Incredible India. My name is Joy Guy, the head of Asia Pacific programs from the World Green Building Council. So September is a very fervent and critical month for climate action, where we kickstart the 15th annual World Green Building Week 2023. And it's also our first hashtag Building to COP28 forum. And so our global network has its work cut out to put the pressure on and accelerate a sustainable transition for the building and construction sector. During the World Green Building Week 2023, our network will be calling on the global building and construction sector to accelerate the transition to an energy efficient, regenerative, and just future for all. So this year's campaign has also been planned to lead into the UN's 2023 SDG Summit, which is from 18 to 19 of September, and therefore pinpoints 11 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that are very essential to catalyze a sustainable built environment. Year 2023 is the year in which the world is going through its first global stocktake. Against the backdrop of its world's first global stocktake, this year's theme is all about building the transition. And all of you can take action by getting involved in many ways. So we are living in the moment where global attention is shifting to the solutions that must be scaled in order to tackle the tipping point in not only climate change, but also humanitarian and economic challenges as well. The process offers the global community a chance to reflect on collective goals agreed upon under the Paris Agreement, highlighting areas of progress and identifying key gaps before countries submit updated national determined contribution, in short we call NDCs, in 2025. So very soon, the UNFCCC will publish a technical paper on their website demonstrating a comprehensive assessment of global action on climate change to date. The global stocktake is the result of 2 years of consultation and inputs from governments, businesses, and NGOs. We are anticipating that this paper will be big and foreboding in its findings, which is why we must ensure momentum of building environment action snowballs ahead of the COP28 in Dubai, UAE. So with this context, we know that we are at a pinnacle point. The world must undergo a transition, ultimately to ensure our survival on this planet. The transition required to regenerate and repair our planet will see systematic transformation across all sectors. And the built environment is the integral in this 11th hour for climate action. But environments are integral to our daily lives. They are where we live, we work, learn, play, and worship. But the built environments are also integral in the fight for our lives, with buildings and construction collectively responsible for almost 40% of the global carbon emissions. Right now, our sector has an opportunity to close the gap to 1.5 degrees C. And through hashtag building the transition, this World Green Building Week, our network is here to show the world that it is possible to secure an energy efficient, regenerative, and just transition. This year's campaign will elevate 3 transitions that are essential for a sustainable built environment: the energy, regenerative, and just transitions. We're proud that our past influence at the UN Climate Summit of COP26 and COP27 has influenced another Built Environment Day at COP28 in Dubai. Buildings will again be at the forefront of the climate agenda through the multi-level action, urbanization, and built environment transport day on 6th of December 2023. The Building to COP Forum returns just in time to share the latest industry intelligence and showcase built environment leaders acting to scale economic, social, and climate resilience. We believe that as the UNCCC works to bring transitions forward on the climate agenda at COP28, the Green Building Network has an opportunity to spotlight how built environment are a key part of the transition to a sustainable future. So in the way that we will be having these monthly forums to convey a powerful coalition of stakeholders, highlight how the Building to COP coalition is elevating the built environment as a critical climate action ahead of COP28, we must leverage the collective will and industry solutions we saw at COP27 to ensure that 2023 is the transformative year for our sector in delivering the change we need. As a community of building and construction stakeholders, we are uniquely positioned to ensure that pledges, commitments, promises are turned into actions. So in the run-up to UN Climate Summit COP28 and in the world's first global stocktake year, we must remember that 1.5 degree is a limit and it's not the target. So we must ensure that 2023 is a year we get the global stocktake on emissions right, increase ambitions, NDCs, and start building the transition. Our aim cannot be only avoid the worst case scenario, where we're capable of so much more. Through in collaboration with green building councils like Indian Green Building Council, the building and construction sector can mobilize and scale available solutions now to deliver a future that is energy efficient, regenerative, and just. Scaling these solutions required political will and industry ambition, and the largest contribution sector to carbon emissions. The built environment is a historical juncture to deliver on the required transition in the decisive decade. So I'm very pleased to convey this message, also seeing that you're organizing such a panel discussion kickstart the World Green Building Week. With this positive spirit, I'm really looking forward to hear the positive outcomes and constructive decisions you guys are making through this panel. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the near future. Thank you so much for your attention, and let's work together for a sustainable, regenerative, and just transition in the near future. Thank you so much.
Friends, Ms. Jai from World Green Building Council, she has been a very good supporter of the Indian Green Building Council. This year for the Green Building Congress, the World Green Building Council has already extended their support. So we are getting into the next program in our agenda. We have a panel discussion. The panel discussion is going to debate on what is the role of each of the stakeholders in terms of achieving net zero by 2070 from the building sector point of view. This panel discussion is going to be anchored by Mr. Ashish Rageja. Ashish Rageja is, right from the beginning, he has been part of IGBC. He is the chairman of IGBC Technical Committee. He has also led us from the front, especially on the net zero initiative. Under his leadership, we have developed this net zero energy and net zero water rating system. So may I request Mr. Ashish Rageja to anchor the panel and introduce the all panelists. Over to you, Mr. Ashish. Thank you. Mr. Ashish?
Yeah, thank you, Karthikeyan, and namaskar, everyone. Welcome to this panel discussion. It's a very important topic that we're discussing in this context of the World Green Building Week. We are talking about building the transition. That means, how do we transition to a decarbonized world? That is what the agenda is, because the entire world is now talking of decarbonization. A lot has changed since the time the COP26 has happened. And that's not long back. It's just about 2 years back. We're talking about the COP26 took place. And the kind of buzzwords that are flying around, the kind of debates which are taking place on the subject, talks about what we can expect in near future. Now, transition to a net zero world is not going to happen overnight. While the government from India has promised 2070 as the end date, but we continue to hear dates which are closer. In fact, the government of Maharashtra, government of Bihar, they went as far as to say 2050 is the date. The Indian Green Building Council also has put its date as 2050. Having said that, the green building is not just made by a developer. It is not just done by an architect. It is not just a one which is certified by the Green Building Council and your job is done. It's not something where an air conditioning engineer, a plumbing engineer, electrical engineer comes and designs and the job gets done. It's not a one-man task. It's all about the stakeholders taking this role jointly and responsibly. We have amongst us a very, very eminent 6 panelists. One of them is not yet joined. He has a conflict of time which has happened. He'll be joining briefly, but officially there are 6 panelists that we have currently on this that are going to be discussing this subject. I'm going to introduce all 6 of them for everybody's benefit, and then get straight into the agenda of discussing, of talking about the net zero transition. So again, once again, the focus of today's discussion is on how do we transition to a decarbonized world. I know this is big words, big talks, but this is a reality. It is coming our way. One way or other, it will definitely hit us. So let's hear from everyone. What are their experiences and what do they think about that? The first panelist I'd like to introduce in no order of, okay, so you're going to put that. Thank you. So is Mr. Boman Irani. He is the chairman and managing director of Rustomjee Group, who are a developer. He's a first generation real estate developer. I think we've all heard about the Rustomjee Group. I don't need to make any introductions there. They're well known in the market. He himself is currently the president of CREDAI, national president, and he's also the past president of CREDAI MCHI. He's continuing the legacy of the world famous Java, Yazdi, and BSA brands of motorcycles. And maybe we'd like to hear about their sustainability also, if we get time to do that. The next panelist. So how does he get the EVs to do the same effect it was that what these brands are doing? So next panelist is Mr. No, I think you should put Mr. Rajan's CV also. Mr. Rajan Bandelkar, who's currently not here right now, is likely to join for some time. He's the chairman, managing director of Rona Group, and he's also the president of Neritco. And he's the convener of housingforall.com. And this is the first of its kind e-commerce portal launched by Neritco. And he's currently, he has also served as the vice president of MCHI CREDAI Thane unit. And he's served as a joint secretary of Maharashtra Chamber of Housing Industry. So that's what Mr. Bandkar is. When he comes, we'll welcome him. Next is my dear friend Yogesh. Why I say dear friend is because we come from the same society, ISHRE. He's currently the national president of ISHRE and a distinguished mechanical engineer and an MBA graduate. He's founder and president of Yogi Engineers, and he has strong dedication towards ISHRE as such. He's been active member of ISHRE since 1993. He's also been a member of ASHRE since 2002 and held various positions there, including president of ASHRE Western India during 2011-12. Thank you, Yogesh, for being there. Mr. Vilas Avachat, and he's the national president of IIA. He graduated from Academy of Architecture Prabhadevi in 1977. He's worked on various Qatar government projects in Doha, Qatar for 10 years. He established his own firm in 1991 and has worked on pan-India on various commercial projects ranging from resorts, hotels, and industrial projects all across the country. He's a national vice president for the last 8 years and also a visiting faculty at few colleges. Thank you, Mr. Vilas, for joining us here. Our next panelist is Mr. Sarosh Wadia. He's the national president, Triple ID. He's an alumnus of CEPT Ahmedabad, and he trained with our beloved Padma Vibhushan and architect, Mr. Professor B.V. Doshi. And he's also been engaged in professional architectural photography for a number of his publications. He has been involved with Triple ID also and IIA both. He's been part of this. He's currently the national president of IIA. So thank you so much, Saroshi, for joining here. Last but not the least, Gurmeet. Gurmeet is going to be wearing 2 hats, even though you see him wearing 1 right now, but they actually be counted as 2. The reason is he's joining as a national chairman of IGBC and also the national president of Indian Plumbing Association. So he'll be representing both the organizations, and I'll have questions for him in both of these areas that is there. Gurmeet is the founding member and executive council member of IGBC. He's also chairman of IGBC Green Existing Building Rating System, O Operation Maintenance Steering Committee. He heads the Rajco Group as a managing director, and Rajco Group is involved in copper. He's also called the Copper Man of India, as far as I'm concerned. He is currently the president of Indian Plumbing Associations and Plumbing Association, and he's founding trustee of the Indian Institute of Plumbing. So we have very, very eminent panelists amongst us today. So thank you to all of you for joining here. And let's start our deliberations. We got next about 45 minutes to talk about on the subject. I do have questions for all of you, but the rules of the game would be that even though I'll ask question which is directed to someone, but any one of you who's got a view, would like to talk and comment on that, please feel free to do that. Please raise your hand or anything, whichever you can just get my attention and we will get you to speak on it. This is not like just a typical question answer that I ask and you respond. I think let's make it more interactive, in which the questions will also evolve as we continue to discuss, because I'm sure we can pick up for whatever your comments are coming. I'll also request audience, those of you who've got questions to ask, because this kind of eminent panelists, getting them on one forum is practically impossible. Since we have the leaders of all these groups amongst us, make use of this opportunity. Put your questions on the Q&A box, not the chat box, the Q&A box, and I will try to pick them up while doing that. So please feel free to put in your questions and I'll take them up. So let's start. I think I'm just going to put this amongst all 6 of you. There is nobody is directed to, and please feel free to pick it up. 2 decades of green building movement has passed, and Gurmeet started by saying that today we have a large list of green buildings which is there, but then he also made a point that it has been only a small fraction of it. Now, mind it, 2 decades of the green building movement, we are the 2nd largest green footprint in the world, but in India, we still constitute a small number. Now, green building was all voluntary so far at this point of time. We now are entering into a net zero phase, which may or may not stay voluntary, because if India says that you're going to become decarbonized by 2050, 2070, whatever that number, 2070 actually, and IGBC says 2050, that means we are talking of some sort of regulation or some sort of binding which is going to come on the owners and the stakeholders to go that way. What do you see as amongst all of you, what do you see as this transition, the biggest challenge transition to this net zero decarbonized world? So I'll just leave that. Let's see. Yes, Gurmeet, you can start. You're the host. You can start this. Yes.
See, the biggest problem was the wrong perception on cost. When we started off, of course, the first building was 18% more over a conventional building. But as I said in my opening remarks, we now talk of profitable sustainability, especially in the residential sector, where it costs less to make a certified green building compared to a similar building. And in the commercial sector, it may be 3 to 4% higher, but then your OPEX comes down by 30, 40, 70%. Second problem was the lack of understanding for a responsible developer, to actually go green or to give back to society. I do not think that the developer community really is aware that they are responsible for 38% of the carbon emissions worldwide. You have seen a transition of the vehicles now. There's an electric vehicle transition going on. The cell phone revolution took place, and certainly green buildings will get mandated. But in the meantime, there is an unawareness in the developer community that we rate the entire built environment, and that we also rate existing buildings, whether they are residential or green residential societies or even commercial buildings. So there is not whether it's 1,000 square feet interiors or an infrastructure or a logistic park or a hill station or a town or a city or even a single building, IGBC rates everything. So even if it's an existing building and we have to see how we can reduce the power consumption by 30, 40, 50%, it's possible to do that, or reduce the water. I can't reduce the materials that have been put into the building, or change the materials. So there has been a perception about cost, which I would like to remove. That's why I took the bull by its horn and I wanted to answer it. We certify everything in the built environment, and green buildings do not cost more. It makes business sense to go green.
Right, Gurmeet. I think you gave an excellent start, but you kept referring to a developer, and we have only one developer here. I'll definitely
Sir, I would like to say one more thing. I find a difference between a developer and a builder.
Okay.
A builder builds houses, but a developer builds homes.
Well, the English dictionary
and you can only have homes which are certified green because you improve the health and well-being of the occupant by 25-30%.
I would still like Mr. Irani to represent the larger community of builder developers, whichever you say that, and would like to put some context to this perception, what has been said by Gurmeet. I'm not trying to put one against another, but I think it'd be good to hear the views. Also,
you're putting one with the other. Don't worry. This is a time of collaboration, not confrontation. We are all, tackling the same issue. It is, 150 years of our civilization over the last 150 years, like I said, has depleted us of fossil fuels worth millions of years, right? But we've woken up. And the one great thing about the human race is when it does decide to take some action, it manages to do so beautifully. Added to that, yes, Gurmeet, you're right. Nobody told the real estate industry that they were 38% responsible for pollution of the world. Nobody told the infrastructure industry that either. But the moment we were told about it, the organized part of this business, that is the developers, like you mentioned, not the builders, the developers have gotten together, and you will be happy to know that just before this session, we had a session with CREDAI also, where we had about, I would say, 98 developers from various parts of the country. And we were speaking about the same subject, the Green Building Week. And we had a speaker come on board and talk about small aspects that are important for the development. Over there, I can tell you, we spoke about everything from the materials that are being used to technologies that have to be brought in. Everyone understands that a one-time effort or a Green Building Week by itself is no good. So we also decided to kind of have this over our social media and time and again continue. Gurmeet, I met you, Yogeshji, I met you, and we discussed that time and again. We as CREDAI are open to continue our dialogue. Yes, if there have been mistakes in the past, we are happy to kind of make good that. Yes, if there are things we don't know, which we do believe we don't know, you will be the ones who will kind of continually, shine the light in that direction. We will definitely challenge The timelines that have been put forth to us, as a matter of fact, 2070 is what was decided. And I want to tell everybody that my President, Mr. Harshvardhan Patodia, the president my predecessor, actually at that point of time in Abu Dhabi said, if the world wants to be carbon neutral by 2070, let us all, if India wants to be carbon neutral by 2070, let us as developers endeavor to be carbon neutral by 2050. And towards that, the steps that we are taking, Rome wasn't built overnight, and I don't think, we can expect results very, very quickly. But the path has definitely been set. The goals have been identified. We are aligned towards it. As a matter of fact, internally, we have a healthy competition amongst my 24 chapters and across 130 cities now that we are present in. We are actually starting a competitive environment where we can work with each other at the same point of time, have a healthy competition to see who pips the post first, who can kind of achieve maximum change first. And the maximum change is only first trying to get the people together and make them understand what's happening. You remember, Gurmeet, you brought this up earlier also, that cost, which was considered such a big thing for the developer fraternity. I want to state out here, our customers are continually being educated by the good developers and being told, and like, in your introduction also, I think were veering towards the fact that a developer can build it. After that, it's up to you to maintain it, right? You've got to be able to continually be appreciative of the fact that you are being someone who's contributing to a cleaner environment, and you as a community should kind of work towards, as I am speaking to about the consumer base or the customers that we have, you should be happy.
Can I intervene here? I think these are nice things to hear. But let's talk about the challenges, because at the end of the day, today also, the percentage of the green buildings continue to be very small, 2%. And the target, that's what Gurmeet said, and the target is 100% of India being net zero. And we have a finite timeline in which we're going to do that. How is CREDI going to work towards that with just 30 years to go, if not 2070? I'm just putting 2050 as a real target right now. With 30 years to go, how do you see that 98% turning green and turning net zero? What do you see challenges and the opportunities there? Sorry about cutting you there, but I thought we'll put that.
No. I mean, very well. We'll give it a little more focus. Look, the first thing we are doing as CREDI is talking about it to our developer fraternity. Unless we don't spread the knowledge, there won't be alignment. We are creating, like I told you today, there was this discussion in which we put up the first set of small goals, small steps. Because, when man landed on the moon also, he had said, a small step for man, but a big step for mankind. So we just set the ball rolling in that direction. We've started filling what is called the knowledge gap by sharing all the details. I told you it cannot be only for a week. It has to be a sustained effort. So we're definitely going to keep this going on our social media and having a lot of interactions with all of you. We are here today with you only for this reason, to state that we are all one and we have to come together, share knowledge. I believe Gurmeet as well as Yogesh has said that they are happy to come and talk time and again. The professionals that are part of their organization are going to come and talk time and again to our members. We are also going to work on the regulatory framework, wherein we ourselves are going to be proponents of the change that we want to see. It's always, sometimes it's tough to just get ideas across without having the regulatory framework in place. So yes, we're going to make that also a possibility. And then last, but we're going to tell them we have no option, but here are the things that we can do to do it in a cost that is affordable for a value that is far surpassing everything. So, these three simple steps are what I have for you out here. And every year I'll have a progress report for you as to how we've achieved. And all change begins small, but then it starts multiplying, and the real efforts or the real results are seen only once the ball is set rolling about 8 or 10 years going forward.
Thank you. I think you gave a very positive start to the discussion, but I'll still try to be trying to take things out as much as possible more. One more response on this. Yes, Yogesh, you raised your hand, so we'll go with it.
So just touching upon the challenges, the biggest challenge which I personally and on behalf of ISHRA I am telling you is the lack of the knowledge, or whatever knowledge we are having at the moment. We really need to enhance more technical skills and more knowledge into it. We at ISRE really, that's the domain, the knowledge on the HVAC, the knowledge on energy is the domain of ISRE. So we are at ISRE committed towards the field of education. Also, the second important challenge, which I feel, Ashish, is the lack of code, standards, guidelines, legislation, which is really coming up now in India. We see that lot of laws are being implemented and we are caught unaware. And many more laws are going to come, and it will really come as so much a surprise, or rather I would not say surprise, it will come as a shock, and we are not going to be prepared for it. So it is, and we all make efforts, all associations, all societies, so we all are working in silos. The need is that we all work together, collaborative, as Gurmeet rightly said, Mr. Irani rightly said, we have to collaborate and spread the education amongst us. There are important.
Just intervening again here. Sorry, I have a bad habit, but we need to put in right direction. So tell me, you said shock coming our way. What is the shock that you expect coming our way that we are not going to be ready for?
Laws, codes, guidelines, implementation. Okay. This is coming in a big way, and you are aware about it, and we can discuss much more. See, we don't have any options, and government is really going to put in more legislation, more laws, more guidelines for the developer community, for the user, for the industry.
Sure. So you're saying raising awareness is something that is there, and you're saying the standards and codes are not there in that area, and that's where the work needs to be done, and that the fast transition could result in some of the shocks coming our way with the laws coming so fast that whether we are ready for that and we are ready for the transition, or that's going to be a challenge. So point well taken. I think we'll delve more into it if the time permits. So moving on to my next question. Yes, Vilas sir, you want to say something, please?
Yeah, what I want to say is that in our institute, Indian Institute of Architects, we are already having the green building and net zero committee, which is recently formed, and they all are working. And of course, we all are architects. We are always trying to help our community. Say the developers are also a part of our community, and we have to do the jobs in hand. We only architects cannot do anything. It has to be together. So we all have to come together and do that. And it's a very good mission which we should achieve.
So Vilas sir, I'll since you've got your mic unmuted, I'll go further with you on this question. When we talk of decarbonization, net zero world, decarbonization comes into two basic points. It comes down to the operational carbon and embodied carbon. And generally, it is understood that operational carbon is a problem of engineers to solve. Embodied carbon is more of a problem of architect and the interior designers to solve. And my own personal view is, yes, the interior designer do become more and more responsible for embodied carbon. Architects have responsibility for both embodied carbon and operational carbon, because the design of the building influences the operational energy a lot. Now, once again, do you see the 2 decades of the green building movement that we have done, that are we ready to understand these concepts and launch forward? Is that transition going to be smooth, or is going to be rough going forward now?
No, definitely it will be, it won't be that smooth, but definitely it's a little hard, I can say. Why? Only architects or only developers or only engineers cannot do anything. It has to be together, as government has to support. The corporation has to get we should get the support from corporation as well. Then only we'll be able to achieve all these things. Otherwise, it's not a one-person job. It's all community has to come together to achieve it. Even I'm talking about the construction workers, engineers, contractors, architects, all has to come together to achieve this. Then only it is going to be possible.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, Gurmeet, I'm just coming to you, but I do have a cross question to him. That is fine.
I just want to add something to,
go ahead.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
When we talk of embodied carbon, we must talk of embedded energy and virtual water, because you cannot reduce carbon without reducing the other also.
Would you explain the concept and tell us a little bit more about it?
Sir, let us talk of embedded energy, that if a product has already put in, there is so much energy to make a product. then already that product has already expended so much energy. Or if I take this cell phone, this takes 2,500 liters to make. Or the t-shirt I'm wearing takes 900 liters to make. So this is what we call virtual water or embedded energy in a product to manufacture. For example, I will not talk of, but certain types of pipes require oil. Now you are going to extract oil from the ground to make a pipe and say it's less on energy just because the manufacturing cost is less is incorrect. So you have to look at recyclability potential, recyclability content, and therefore embodied carbon will come down. I'm sorry I interrupted.
So Gurmeet, I think both of you, I'll continue on this line of questioning. Saroshi, I'll come to you after that. You'll have your share of questions coming.
No, you go to Sarosh and then
no, I would like to come back to you on this. So you raised this concept of this water use and energy use with the material, and we call it actually the EPD, Environmental Product Declaration, in which all of these get declared, and it is very much equivalent to when you go to a food court and there is written there you're having a chicken tikka and this is the calories in this, and if you go and eat a green vegetable, this is the calories in this. So they write it down. Similarly, there's a EPD which is talking about Environmental Product Declaration of a material that you're using, an iPhone or that you talked about, or whatever you're using. Now, that's a great thing to have, but are we ready for it? How do you see the transition to that happening? Can both of you throw a little light on that?
1 minute. I will just speak 1 minute. 1 second. In our institute, we have started now. No less paper, no paperwork at all. Everything will be online, and everything will be on the one screen.
Wow!
So paperless job. So everybody now this is our second meeting, and no papers at all. Earlier, we used to have a 50, 20 or maybe 100 papers together and distributed to all the committee members, council members. Now, no paperwork at all. Everything online.
Excellent.
And we are achieving that, and which will definitely help.
Sure, that's great.
We are making that move now.
Excellent. That's a great start coming from IA itself. Yes, Gurmeet, you want to respond to that question?
Well, Vilas, my old friend since 25 years, and now heading an institution with 140,000 architects, by the way. How will you have paperless drawings on site?
See, paperless, we do everything on CAD. We don't do by hand now.
Okay.
And we submit it to the corporation online.
Wow.
So nothing is required.
So all those thousands of drawings will go out of the window.
Even we sign digital. So we don't require even that.
Fantastic.
And that is accepted everywhere.
Excellent. Excellent. So again, my question is on the environmental product declaration of the equipment that or whatever that we are using. Do you see that transition? Because there is a lot of challenges in declaring the embodied carbon and talking about it. So Gurmeet, from IGBC perspective, what is being done in that area to educate?
Ashish, you are the chairman, national chairman, and I'm the national vice chairman to amend the Energy Conservation and Building Code, which is mandatory. Now, the Energy Conservation and Building Code only spoke of energy earlier. It's under the Ministry of Power. There are 3 ministries who are working on similar lines. The Jal Shakti Ministry on water, the MOHUA, where I'm working very closely, as you know, and now the Ministry of Power, where we are amending. We have already amended the ECBC. And it is now called the Energy Conservation Sustainable Building Code. ISHRE has done 158 engineers that worked on this over 2 months, and they have done a fantastic job where ISHRE has done the energy part, IP has done the water part, and IGBC has done the waste part. And now we are in the final stage. This was actually supposed to be launched at the G20 by the Prime Minister himself. The PMO was pushing this. So please understand, the Bureau of Energy rating 1-star, 2-star, 3-star will come for water. It will come for waste. It has to come ultimately. And now you have ECBC, super, and different levels of ECBC. So there is a rating, there is a mandate which is coming. For example, I'm working off a mandate on low flow fixtures and sanitary ware, which is already agreed by 2 ministries. I'm stuck with the rating system, how many stars for how many liters discharge, and there's a fight going on, not a fight, but a discussion going on. I'm sorry to use that word. where we will be mandating low flow fixture sanitary ware. So if Mr. Mohammad Irani thinks he's Mohammad Rafi, or some lady thinks she's Lata Mangeshkar and they want to sing under the shower, let them go ahead and sing under the shower. We'll save 50% water without compromising on their comfort. So there is a lot of things which are coming by mandate, and ultimately, like calories are being declared by some restaurants, which are not mandatory, which are voluntary. This mandate will come, maybe embedded carbon or embedded energy or embedded water, virtual water, something has to come, or carbon potential. It will have to come if we have to achieve carbon neutrality and go to the common man. Please understand, we are intellectual people heading societies. Now, if you look at this whole screen, we are more than 2 lakh members. Our message, will it percolate to all the 2 lakh members of 17,000 Credai developers, 6,000 Naretko developers, 9,000 Sarosh Wadia's members, 1,40,000 Vilas's members, 23,000 Yogesh's members? Is it going to percolate to each and every member that, boss, we do not have a choice, we have to make a change, we have to go sustainable, we have to go green?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Saroshi, I'm coming to you only. Yes. You want to make a comment? Then I'll ask you a question. Go ahead.
See, I would like to say here that we are living in an age of awareness. Awareness is available on fingertips. I realized this when, I'll give you a simple example. When my son was in his first standard, and he used to close the tap when I was brushing my teeth, saying that you're wasting water. That is where awareness is. It's unfortunate that 50% of our population is not represented in our panel also, who are our lady members. And the imparting of this awareness is done by them, by the teachers in our schools, our kindergartens, our colleges. Now, what I feel is that this awareness is already there. You have to just be a guiding force. So that is why IIID, Institute of Indian Interior Designers, has come up with a unique program called Satsang, where IGBC, IPA, then ISHRE, all are CREDAI, all are members, and we work together towards a good environment. So I think there are some points where I would like to bring forth here. I'm a teacher also. And this subject was thrust upon me in 96, I think 1996, when it was not known at all, this energy conservation and all were not known at all. And it was given to me to teach building efficiency and energy conservation. So since then I am at the subject, and I realized that what can designers help in? Okay, embodied energy in the materials we use is not going to change overnight, but minimization of them in use can change overnight. So a passive building design is the one that India should adopt, and not this intensive what you call mechanical devices and intensive, for a large energy consumer like HVAC, we'll have to go in for mechanical things also, or electrical things also. But for a general well-being of a family or a office, if we use passive building design principles, I think we can suffice and reach our goals faster. So this awareness is already there in children from kindergarten. We have to just give a guideline. So
right.
Our satsang is doing exactly that. It's bringing these organizations together. And in fact, we also published a code for interiors with IGBC in 2016. Our committee worked with IGBC, and we published a code of energy conservation with IGBC for interiors.
So, sir, I think I'll pick up your questions and each one of you from here. I think let's talk about, there is a question here also in the Q&A session which says that a government is needed for implementing the things, in fact, for enforcing the laws and regulations. How is each one of you working in your area with the government to support them in developing these laws and regulations? And then in your own industry, what are you doing about it? So I think I'll start with Yogesh and then go to each one of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So In fact, Gurmeet has taken some of the part from my three. In fact, it was a joint collaborative efforts just to for the information of all. We used to have IBIPs, which we call the Indian Building Energy Efficiency Performance Index standard. So this is
a little louder, boss.
So this standard, since last 2 years under the leadership of Ashish Rakheja only, we were working on the IBIPs part. And then the Bureau of Energy Efficiency approached ISHRE, where ISHRE collaborated, took the leadership role with IPA and IGBC. And to be precise, the 6 existing chapters are being rewritten by ISHRE. There are 3 chapters which are written by IGBC and 1 by IPA. ISHRE is also writing the 4 another chapters. So just for the benefit of the attendees and also the panelists. So the whole now ECBC is now rewritten as ECSBC and important roles. So this is going to be implemented in the near future. Also the ECSBC on the residential segment is also getting rewritten and been implemented. So as I was really, so this is what is the role of ISHRE, IGBC, IPA all put together, and this codes, this is going to be a reality, and which is the implementation is also going to happen soon. The another thing which ISHRE really works towards is that we have 3 groups in ISHRE. One is called the Energy Efficiency Group. Second is the Decarbonization Task Force, and third is the Environment Protection Group. These are the 3 important task force which really works towards the, I would rather say, the mission for ISHRE, or maybe the mission for the country or the mission for the world is the decarbonization net zero. So these are the 3 groups which are really working. We have technical groups in ISHRE. These technical groups really work towards preparing of the standard code guidelines. We come out with publication which are in use. Like recently we came out with the VRF standards, chiller standards. These are important tools which really get implemented. So this is for the benefit, and as the question says, this is what ISHRE is rightly doing towards.
Thank you, Gish. Anybody else would like to go forward on this? Vilas Saab, Saroshi.
ISHRE is also helping us organize this 8 conferences till March end, where all 5 organizations will work together towards energy efficiency and towards implementing whatever we can. Because government laws may implement in the next few years, but just like IGBC started with awareness campaigning, and so many people are now doing what they feel is right. I think that is the perception we all can create together, and that is where IIID is headed to. Whether the guidelines come or not, we have to guide people just to pick up the right choice. That is all.
Sure. Vilas Saab, what is IIA doing about this?
Ashish,
You need to unmute yourself.
I will be doing it. We are on the verge of working this with the corporations, saying that now, as you know, this we have emission of dry waste, wet waste, and all. What happens? This BMC workers or corporation workers, they put it together, and then what's the use? Similar that awareness has come with the societies. Societies, when they made it compulsion, corporation made them compulsion. That's why they started doing it. Now people are looking in a different way. Only compulsion is not required. While doing compulsion, they want some benefit out of it. Maybe in a way of assessment or whatever way. This is what now people are, the government will have to do something like that. Then only people will come forward more and more.
Sure.
Otherwise, just adopting that norms will not work.
Sure. Gurmeet, your comments.
Well, IGBC has been working with many governments, both semi and central, since long. More than 50% of the states now give FSI or FAR from 3% to 15%, where the developer benefits in many of the states, including in UP, Newtown, Calcutta, and many other states, where if you get a IGBC certification, you get extra FSAI, you get faster environmental MOEFCC clearance, you get reduction in stamp duty. We are working with the World Bank. I met the managing director of World Bank only about 10 days back. And we also visited the IFC, which is part of World Bank headquarters in Washington, DC, only eight days back. I also have a meeting with them again in their Bombay office in the next 7-8. It was supposed to be on Wednesday, now postponed to Monday, where we are looking at cheaper finance for the developer community by at least 0.5% to propel the green growth in the country.
Okay.
Already they had not included the money given to HDFC was the IGBC was not included. We made sure HDFC was included, and they were giving me 500 crores. I asked for 50,000 crores because one building is 500 crores today. 300 crores and 500 crores and goes up to even 2,000 crores. We are looking at cheaper green finance for the community. Please understand, IGBC, even though charges fees, is a not-for-profit making organization, and we are part of CII. We stand by what we say, and we are completely committed to Green India. So I wanted to just clarify that we are not a commercial organization.
No, we're not asking you to commercial on this. We understand. Now I have a question on this one because you also wear the IPA hat, plumbing association hat. Somebody spoke about, I think one of the panelists said that water awareness is being grown. Turning off the taps, we are learning at the school, but today water continues to be the most abused commodity which is there, resource which is there. What is IPA doing to bring that in form of a law, regulation, guidelines to the codes and standards? Because as part of decarbonization, net zero world, that'll be one of the most important things to do.
Well, the most important thing is there is a water and energy nexus, which none of us realize, what we call water G. This G is not JI, it's GY. Okay, it's not Ashish G and water G, it's water with a Y. Now, having said that, if anybody is from Delhi, the Yamuna is completely black. You bring water from 200 kilometers away. Then you pump water into your society, it gets pumped into your building, and then you pump it to your overhead tank. What is the real cost of water? Now, I've been speaking to ministers in the central government to price water at least partially at its cost, which is a political issue. It's not going to happen in the country. You can price petrol at 100 rupees a liter, you won't price water. I've been working with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and I'm part of the task force. We have formed a Bureau of Water Use Efficiency, like the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And I'm the vice chairman of that task force, where we are looking at 20% saving of water throughout India. Now, please understand, 75% water goes for agriculture. So when we talk of 20% saving, even on agriculture, it's quite high. Urban landscape, we're looking at 50% saving. So I've been working with MoHUA also, Ministry of Housing Urban Affairs, where already a departmental order has gone to all the associations about a year back to reduce, to install low flow fixtures and sanitary ware, where we can save 50-60% water without compromising of the comfort of the user. IPA came out with a code in 2013 called the Water Efficient Products India Code. We have codes more than 2,500 pages today. We rewrite our codes, we revise our codes every 3 years now, 5-year cycles. In fact, some of you have received the codes also. I've sent them to Vilas, I've sent them to Bowman. And basically, the Indian government wanted an Indian code, so we pushed through a IS code, IS 17650, which we only launched in 2021 and therefore now we are ready with a mandate. We are only stuck whether we want 1 star to 5 star like the BE rating, or we want 1 to 3 star. So between both the ministries, discussions are going on. Jal Shakti Ministry, National Water Mission, and the MoHUA, what star rating we want, but it's coming in India where you will be mandated to save 50% water.
So, Gurmeet, I'll have one more question before I go to Mr. Irani, because I have some points for him. But my question is that currently the National Building Code is under revision. The conveners are being put there. The national convener is there in place. The water continues to be neglected in last 2 codes, and we are talking about transitioning to net zero water. Whereas if you look at the baseline water consumption, it has remained unchanged over the last 20 years. And there is a lot of non-clarity also there, because that NBC talks about the total water use, which includes the sewerage also. That means what is used for flushing and all, that we recycle water that we use, it takes that into account. Whereas today the STPs are compulsory in most of the large buildings that we do. So what I'm trying to come to at, there's a lot of mismatch between what the code says or understood vis-a-vis what the real life scenario today is. What are you doing as IPA to make that coherent and more stringent going forward, so that we are able to reduce the water use, even if it is not being done from a perspective of water, charging for water or those concepts coming in?
Number one, we have changed all our nominees on all the water and wastewater committees of BIS. First thing. So all the revisions of BIS will be as per or similar to the IPA codes, which are much beyond aspirational of the BIS, because BIS does not get revised so often. Number two, I am taking a delegation to Singapore in October. We are about 50 of us, where we are looking at, we have a MOU with the Singapore Plumbing Society, which reclaims even black water, even flush water, and sells it in a bottle called New Water. And we drink from the bottle, by the way. Flush, okay. I'm sorry to use the word potty water. But the fact is, in India, we are not even reclaiming our 100% grey water. Okay, only green buildings, and there is a mandate for STPs, but are STPs really working, or are they bypassed? Because of society, Vilas. Because of society, when they take over, they say, boss, this is smelling, they don't change the membrane, or they don't service the STP, and they bypass the STP. So the issue is that the mandate is there, but there's a problem on O&M of STPs, which has to be addressed, which we are addressing. We are getting into water audits. Already, CII has an institute for doing water audits called the CII Water Institute, where I'm also part of that. But they mostly do water audits in industry. We are getting into water audits in the building industry, because what you can measure, you can monitor. If you don't measure, you won't monitor. So a lot of things, I can keep on talking for the next half an hour, but a lot of things happening where water awareness and water restriction of water on your use, reclamation of water. In fact, there's no reclamation code in India. I'm already writing a code in reclamation. Not me, when I talk of me, I mean IPA.
Thank you.
We already have that going. So we are working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We are looking at, I am going to a facility in China in October, where we are looking, currently we are already at dual flushing system is at 4.5 liters for full flush load for fecal sludge and 1.5 liters for urination. I am looking at 1 liter for full flush load and 500 ml for half flush load. And this is going to come to India. We're already in talk with Bill and Melinda Gates. We are investing 10 crores in a international R&D center in Goa. IPA is investing. A lot of work happening, which I can't keep on elaborating on this forum, but we are.
Thank you, Gurmeet. I get the brief is IPA is doing a lot. Okay, excellent. So we can see some new numbers coming in the new NBC and the new ECSBC, which will drive the transition towards the net zero water coming from. Okay. So coming back to you, Mr. Irani, and that's what I said, I'd like to talk a little bit more with you. What is CREDAI doing for transition for helping the government transition into net zero world in terms of codes and standards, so that I think there is a balance between the commercial interest and the environmental interest? So is there some sort of engagement of the government happening there?
Ashish, first of all, thank you very much for asking me. I just have one small request. After this question, I'll just sign out. I had programmed till about 4:30, and we're almost there. So very quickly, Gurmeet, thank you for taking up these issues with the government. Really start giving the money where it is needed. Give it to the people who are living in the buildings of green buildings that we build. Do not ask for more FSI for developers. Do not ask for more money or interest rate cuts for us. We will manage fine. It is very important that you start offering these benefits to the consumers, and take this with all humility from me. The moment you start giving the benefits of it to my consumers will start putting their hard-earned money into green buildings. And that is the first step I need. I need people to start putting their money into a green building, just by choice. And by choice only happens when there is some amount of monetary gain. And I'm happy, the more incentives are announced to my consumers, the happier I am.
But the one thing green finance is for consumers, huh?
So the one thing I want, from you or from the government for our industry is only this, that, there should not be only one body identifying that is your building green enough or is your project good enough to go for construction. Over here, open up IGBC, GRIHA, LEED, and let them become the agencies that certify our buildings or allow us to go ahead. Because money or time saved is money earned today. Allow us to cut down the time that it takes to get an approval. And sometimes, pardon my saying this, but it becomes extremely non-technical, if I may say that, when I'm going into for getting a green approval, right? And you do understand the number of issues that are there, and I don't want to say this on air, but we are all aware of it. With regards to your question, Ashish, I want to just tell you that as far as we are concerned at CREDAI, it's not directly with the government, though we do interact with them and tell them to open up the number of agencies that can grade us. It is we who are opening up the world's financing, through the ESG route and through funds that are being set up for green constructions to our developers. We are playing that conduit or that part of the chain that allows this money to come into the right developments, because that is exactly what is needed. And from there we get our reduced financing costs. For Mumbai, time and again, we've been saying that redevelopment is the way going forward. 19,000 buildings is stated as dilapidated. But if you look at the DCR benefits and the fact that we've got to rejuvenate the city and give, water saving and power saving tools to our new homes, we've been talking about redevelopment. Now, for this, there are a whole lot of things that we need to kind of get together and do. And yes, Gurmeet, I'll speak to you. Yes, Yogesh, I'll speak to you. I'll speak to all of you, including you, Sarosh, whenever, it's possible. Because we need to find a way of reutilizing all the waste that, we kind of demolish an old structure. How do we reutilize it? There are a whole ton of problems, but these ton of problems need to be addressed. And I believe there is a huge opportunity out there, right? I also want, to tell you that time and again, CREDAI has used all its media ability to go out to people and talk to them about green buildings and how it's going to impact the future. At the same point of time, talking to our own developer fraternity and, telling them that we need to come up with our own codes and not wait for the government to, come out with codes for us. Now, I can tell you, there is also a lot of collaboration and knowledge sharing that is taking place. This panel, for one, is a huge knowledge sharing platform. And I can tell you that our members are in touch with most of the panelists out here to be able to achieve our carbon neutrality goals. Government interactions do take place time and again, and we as CREDAI will carry forward whatever research that is available with us and with your bodies and represent jointly with you all also to make it happen. On our part, we are committed.
I know that you said you'd like to go. Just one last question which directly deals with you. How is ESG and green financing changing the developers' world going forward?
Wow.
Just comment on that.
No, I'll be happy to comment on that. See, first, let me start off with saying ESG itself as a concept is not only environment, it's social and governance as well. And this is again knowledge that we are getting down to our members, 14,000 plus members across 123, and it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. The second thing I want to tell you is all the listed companies, or at least those compliant companies, are forced to today give reports time and again, which is excellent, because what doesn't get measured doesn't get bettered, right? So we are already in that phase where we are setting up and giving. I can tell you my own company. We've started working with Namrata, who is working on our entire ESG reporting and is not only working with my internal teams but also with my contracts, also with my suppliers, making sure my suppliers are compliant, with their ESG norms. Now again, I tell you, tons of issues. People have tax issues related to certain compliances, etc. But I say this is a matter of things that will come over time. If I can attack 80% of the problem, which is actually lying with 20% of the people, I would have achieved a lot. So we are working with the top 20 percentile. The 80-20 rule applies everywhere, right, Ashish? So we're working with that top 20 percentile that is providing 80% of the services or materials to our business. And we are not only working internally, but externally as well. And I think ESG funding, while it has still not taken off, it is definitely a huge promise. And more importantly than changing our lives, I believe it will achieve its goal of providing money to the right developers so that they are able to create cities of the future where there are paradigm changes and where there's greener constructions available.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rani. I think you've been
guys. It's been a fantastic pleasure to interact with all of you. I'm going to have to sign out. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Boman. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
So I think we have another 2-3 minutes remaining. I'm going to take up some questions that have come up in the Q&A box. And the first question is, I think goes out to all of you. When do you think our calculator in India to evaluate carbon numbers for all materials and construction methodology will be ready for embodied carbon, and who's currently working on it? Gurmeet, I think goes down to you only. Yes.
Karthikeyan, you can answer that question.
You are passing on to me,
Mr. Moderator.
No, okay. This is a very valid question. It's a very big challenge from the country point of view. From IGBC point of view, we have started taking some initiative in terms of measuring the carbon footprint at the product level. Majority of the product, when I say the majority of the major products which contribute to a larger portion of the carbon footprint in buildings, those carbon footprints are available in terms of, say, cement, concrete, or steel, aluminum, copper. These kind of material, the carbon footprints are available. The individual companies, though it has not been publicly declared in some of the cases, the numbers are available with us. So our aim is to make it, public, all these numbers as early as possible. We are working on net zero carbon initiative. During that time, it would be made public.
Sure. Thank you, Karthikeyan. Next question is, how are we going to recognize nature-based solution in the course of decarbonization? Specifically goes out to IGBC again. That's what the question is in the panel.
See, can I answer this?
Yes, please.
So you picked up this question from the chat.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I know. That's good. So that the public is also involved with us. See, the most important thing to achieve net zero is to make sure you incorporate net zero aspects in design. If you do not incorporate net zero aspects in design, you will not be able to achieve net zero in the building. So you look at passive design, you look at bringing in light, daylighting instead of the heat. You look at building orientation. You look at a lot of aspects, wind, bringing in fresh air intake. So a lot of aspects that we look at which are nature-based, shading, where we use the advantages of nature to design a net zero building. As you know, you do a simulation study, which is a tough study, but lots of consultants do that, where they look at the maximum temperature and the shading orientation, the wall to window ratio. And therefore, you look at how a green building, basically for all of you, is 3 to 4 degrees less than the outside ambient temperature without, Yogesh, any air conditioning or any human intervention. So basically, if you look at passive design and use the elements of nature for your building, you will 100% be able to achieve net zero. Otherwise, later it's very difficult to change to net zero.
Sure. And the rating systems are already addressing this. You do have a point credit available against them.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Another question I'd like to take from the audience is, are we doing significant research in order to evolve our codes, standards, and technology? Because if the data is not available, and how will the indigenous solutions ever evolve? We'll keep on aping the West. Anybody would like to comment on that? Yogesh?
I didn't understand the question. We have already covered the codes and standards.
No, they are saying, what about the research to back up what you are trying to implement? Are we just implementing what the West is telling us, or are we doing some sort of research in order to back up the data?
So I will just touch upon this. We had already met Department of Science and Technology. Even the government of India is very, very keen on putting in a lot of money through industry, through academia, and through associations like ISHRE, IPA, IGBC, all put together. We do admit a lot of money is required for research. A lot of time is also required for research. It was at a very slow pace in the past, but in the future, this is really picking up, and more research based on whatever law legislation which has to become in more guidelines code it's happening in India. That's what I can.
Okay.
Ashish, can I answer this? Can I
Yeah,
add
sure.
something?
Yeah.
See, for example, you look at IPA codes. Now, we adopted IPA codes in 2006 from IAPMO USA, which is a 102-year-old company. But then we have revised them with 3-year revisions, 2007, 11, so 2008, 11, 14, 17, and now we undergo 5-year revisions. Having said that, if you look at the code earlier, you would not look at water conservation, you would not look at rainwater harvesting, you would not look at reclamation of gray or black water. So this has all come about recently, and whether we do physical research or no, but the fact is, based on the market dynamics and demand, and the changing dynamics where you have only 4% of the world's fresh water, but 17.65% of the world's population today. So based on that, the codes are always evolving. So I mean that there is a research and R&D going on, and the codes are all written by consultants who are on the job every day. Same thing with IGBC. Our codes have evolved over time.
Sure. Thank you. Very good, Meet. I think that's well answered. Just the last question. I know we are run out of time, but just the last question, and it goes to all of you again, which is again coming from the chat. It says that we have such influential folks which are here, all top societies of India. What are you doing to improve the engagement with the Indian sustainability ecosystem? Why can't we raise a certain amount of money? 500 crore has been set here for transitioning to built environment. Why don't you look at the startups and provide supports to them? So why can't we incubate the transition technologies which can help us do better? I couldn't resist taking this one because this is.
Sorry, can I answer this? I'm very sorry. I'm talking too much. If my wife was here, she would have told me to shut up, but she's not here today. The government of India is really pushing startups. We have 76 startups which have been chosen out of 286 under the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation of Urban Transformation 2.0, Amrut 2.0. And we have given them 20 lakhs each. Okay, 15.0 crores was distributed in front of me in Vigyan Bhavan by Hardeep Singh Puri ji, Honorable Minister, for startups on water. Same thing is, there are startups, there are about 240 startups which are shortlisted on the Swachh Bharat Mission. 76 will be awarded 20 lakh seats, Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. The Power Ministry has startups. There are many ministries now who are propagating and helping startups. And you will not believe it, but India has the highest unicorns in the world. We have 100 unicorns already, all built up of these startups. So there is a startup culture in India. And government is, whether we promote or no, government is promoting this. It's not 500 crores, boss. A Palais Royal in Bombay, 3.7 million square feet, was a 2,500 project.
Goodness, we're out of time. I just want to comment. It's not exact. We may have the highest number of unicorns, but not all of them working in our area of thing. And if you're to transition net zero, we need somebody to work in our area, where the question is, why can't the big daddies here who are sitting here help in that area? So I think let's leave it here for the time being. There's a lot to be that we can debate on. This time was not enough. We could have we just started getting warmed up a little bit. The questions would have started now, but having said that, let's end this thing here. But so thank you very much for wonderful panelists being here. It was a great subject about how do we transition to a net zero world. Obviously, there is a lot that needs to be done, but look at what we have achieved in 2 years. My own take is that next decade is all about capacity building, is all about transitioning, which is code, standards, people. Look at that. We even though the two decades of the green building movement has taught us a lot, but I think we need to go beyond, because with the green building movement, we could only achieve a little bit of decarbonization, and that needs to go even farther. I think the goals are much more stricter and measurable, because everything is going to be measured, and somewhere the rules will come in which will start taking us by surprise. Yogesh very rightly said that you can expect lots of things which are going to come our way where we have to be ready. One of them I like to mention, I was discussing with Karthikeyan the other day, where he mentioned that Denmark is the first country in the world which has started allocating total carbon to the buildings in construction. That means if you have decided to construct a building today, you are given a total carbon allocation budget. Now that is for the life cycle of the building, where you have to look at from construction to operation both. So you have like 100 rupees being given to you. In the 100 rupees, you have to do the construction, you have to do the operation. You want to spend 98 rupees on the construction and worry about 2 rupees to operation is up to you. But this is how the carbon allocation budgets have started already happening there. Many such regulations, rules will come our way now. And it is a clear time period of few decades ahead of us, in which we have to learn, we have to implement, we have to monitor, we have to improve, and we have to comply. So get ready. Currently, as we talk, the ECBC and NBC both are going out for revision. ECBC turns into a ECSBC, as the panelist said, which is the Energy Conservation Sustainability Building Code. The National Building Code is expanding its entire context and is going to be looking at the decarbonization, because that is the code which governs the entire construction ecosystem in India. So a lot coming. Get ready. These are just the starting years, and happy that we had such wonderful discussions. So thank you to each one of you for being there. Thank you so much. Over to you, Karthikeyan.
A good beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish. I know it was an excellent discussion. Who of the industry had spoken to us. A long way to go. Achieving net zero is not a one-time activity. This is going to be a journey. But a long journey also requires a very, very small steps to be taken. So I would request all the participants to take these small steps in terms of moving towards net zero. Having said this, friends, we have a long 1 week of celebration, the Green Building Week celebration. I would request all of you to participate in this 1 week celebration of Green Buildings Week. So with this note, let me thank all the participants, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, Chairman IGBC and President IPA, and Mr. Ashish Ageja, Chairman IGBC Technical Committee, who has anchored this panel discussion, and Mr. Boman Nerani, President CREDAI, Mr. Sarosh Wadia, President IID, and Mr. Yogesh Thakur, President ISHRE, Architect Vilas Avach, President IAA. Thank you all for your active participation and sharing your perspectives. Let me also thank all the participants as part of this webinar. We had at some point in time more than about 110 participants listening to the panel discussion. Thank you all, and look forward to your active participation in the entire week, not only the entire week, in the entire green building movement. Thank you very much. With this, let us close this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashish.
Very much.
Well done.